Okay, this segment of Fantasy Sports brought to you by BallparkSweaters.com. Great job, guys. BallparkSweaters.com for a great holiday gift for that female baseball player or softball player, for that matter, in your life. Check out the Ballpark Sweater models on FantasyBaseballDugout.com. So get a Ballpark sweater. What are you looking at? You're looking at Daily again. You got an infatuation with bad boys today, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. Sorry. Okay, let's get into week number 10, fantasy football. John, where are you taking me on this one? Did you want to start off with Reggie Bush? I know you're all anxious about talking about him.
Yeah, who isn't anxious about talking about Reggie Bush? For those of you who haven't noticed, over the last couple of weeks, it actually seems like a prediction that we made back in the preseason is starting to come true, that Reggie Bush would eventually emerge as the better back in Miami, even though Daniel Thomas was kind of getting a lot of hype coming into the season and certainly had some chances early in the season. But let's not forget that from 2006 to 2010, there wasn't a single running back in the league that had more catches than Reggie Bush, in spite of the fact that he was injury plagued. He missed 20 games. So if you can get him, and he's actually still around in about 1 in 4 fantasy leagues, I think you should grab him and play him as a second running back or as a utility, like a flex position, if you have that position available to you. So if he's there, you can go get him. A couple other names real quick to look at coming into Week 10. Roy Halou from Washington. Washington's running back situation is kind of muddy, which typically is a bad sign for fantasy owners. But he had 105 receiving yards last week. We're talking about running backs who catch the ball, and Roy Halou certainly is one of them. He's available in about 45% of leagues. So if you need a fill-in player for bye week, Week 10, this is the next to last bye week in the NFL. So Roy Halou, available in 45% of leagues of the Washington Redskins. Jackie Battle, the starting running back for Kansas City, he's available. He's still out there in about 40% of leagues. It's a good idea. If there is a running back who starts or gets the bulk of the carries for a team, he needs to be on a roster somewhere because no running backs are playing at 100% health at this point in the year. I mean, these guys have been getting hit for 10 weeks. So if Jackie Battle is out there in your league and he's a starter, it doesn't make any sense to me why he wouldn't be on a roster somewhere. So pick him up if you can get him. Chris Agbanaya is Cleveland's starting running back, and he's available in 75% of leagues. He's going to start for Peyton Hillis, who's battling the Madden curse this weekend, so you can take a look at him as well. So those are 4 backs that you can pick up. You should be able to get in just about any league and ride your team to victory in Week 10.
All right. Jonathan Bentz, Bob Bentz here on Spadora on Sports. You can check out my website, SpadoraOnSports.com. You can see Jonathan and his blog. Eventually, we'll get another blog from him. I'm begging him for a blog right now. Let's quickly move into it. Bob, I want to talk a little bit about some hot stove stuff with you. Where do you want to go with that?
Yeah, last night, Friday night was a big day in the Miami Marlins history. At 11:11 on 11:11:11. They introduced their new uniforms and their new logo, and if you go on FantasyBaseballDugout.com, you'll get to see them. This has kind of been an interesting thing over the last couple of months. There's been a lot of leaks as to what the uniforms and what the new logo were going to look like. But remember, they're not the Florida Marlins anymore. They're now the Miami Marlins. They have a really cool new ballpark. It's only seats 37,000. People have said it has the best sight lines in all of Major League Baseball. Smallest ballpark in the majors, built on the site of the old Orange Bowl in the Little Havana section in Miami. I've checked out the dimensions of the new park, and I wouldn't expect any Marlins players to be hitting more home runs next year. The only dimension is right field, where it's 5 feet shorter than Sun Life Stadium. But for the most part, it's going to be a pitcher's park down there in Miami. Now, Miami has some money to spend this time around. You know, they've been pretty cheap over the years, but Albert Pujols was down visiting yesterday, and Jose Reyes and Prince Fielder have been there. And I'll make a prediction right now that they're going to land one of those 3 guys. I don't think it's going to be Pujols, but I have a good feeling that they're going to be able to pick up Fielder or Reyes.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they put that many seats in a ballpark down in Florida to begin with, because I don't think they get 37 to show up for Florida.
He's cruel. You're cruel.
Well, they haven't in the past, but hopefully they will going forward here. I think they're going to be a force to be contended with in the next few years.
What about Phillies? They're going reaching out, getting everybody. Give me your thoughts on that. And then before I get out of here with you guys, I need to know, we never really closed up with Shank and the boys with his fantasy baseball.
But first, let's sum it up. It didn't end well.
Okay, let's talk about the Phillies quickly. We got 30 seconds, and then I can spend a minute with Shank. Okay.
Okay, Phillies have been the early entries into the free agent market. They signed Jonathan Papelbon, which makes Scott Boras, client Ryan Matson expendable. But they picked up one of the great good guys in the history of baseball, and that's Jim Thome and his 604 career home runs. Thome's an interesting fantasy baseball player to project for 2012 because he hasn't played the field. He's only played 26 innings in the field since 2005, where he's been, primarily a DH in the American League. But he's going to get his chance to play the field with Ryan Howard out with that Achilles injury for the first couple months. So it'll be interesting to see how Thome does, trying out his glove again. But this guy can still hit. I mean, he's 41 years old, but over the last 2 years, he hit 15 homers last year, and he hit 25 the year before. But his home run ratio is one of the best in the game. He hits a home run every 13.8 at bats. So if he can get his fielding down and get some starts early in the year, I think he's a good pickup for early in the year. And he's also a good pickup if you have the ability to bring up a player for a week when the Phillies are going to be playing at an American League team, and he can slot in as the DH.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, I got a minute now. Let's give me the inside scoop. How did our illustrious producer do with you guys?
All he can do is laugh.
Let me put it this way. We'd love to welcome him back next year.
Yeah, I'm sure. So
I learned my lesson, guys, not to spend about half of the money that you're given on two players.
Yeah, that's usually not a good strategy.
No, definitely not.
Do you think if we have him enter into fantasy baseball next year, that maybe we could have a couple of people assigned to him to kind of coach him through this process, so that we have a better effort?
Co-owners, co-managers. Yeah, we've that strategy is gaining popularity, but typically the stakes are a little bit higher than just bragging rights on the radio.
Yeah.
For scenarios like that. But it's certainly something that maybe we have to consider in light of the performance of Mr. Shank.
It was lacking.
Yeah,
it was lacking.
Okay, guys, listen, I hate to cut out on you guys, but it's time I got to pick up some commercials, and, of course, this segment of Bob and Jonathan Bentz brought to you by the good people over at sweaters.com. I should say ballparksweaters.com. Okay, guys, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks.
All right, thanks.
You bet. You're listening to Spinner Sports. We'll be right back.